When you start anything new, it's pretty rare that you're going to be amazing at it right from the beginning. And I found that especially true with trying to sell on Amazon. So that's why today I've been thinking back about the biggest lessons that I've had to learn the hard way as a new seller. And I've even put these lessons in sequential order of how I've had to learn them. I think these are pretty common lessons to learn. So by providing you with them, hopefully you can avoid them. But first, if you're new here, let's get the formalities out of the way. I'm Cassandra, and right here on my ProfitGuru channel, you will find me each and every week coming to you with Amazon FBA content. Everything that I'm learning and doing in my own business so that you too can grow your Amazon FBA business. So if you're into that, please subscribe to my channel and like this video and drop a comment because it really helps with the algorithms. All right, let's go. The first lesson that I learned the very first day that my Amazon seller account got active was that I was expecting I could just start selling so much, and that is not the case. The large majority of categories and brands are going to be gated for you. So that means the gate is up and Amazon is restricting you from selling them. Now, I can't tell you exactly which categories will be available for you because it's different for every seller. But for me personally, as soon as I was able to sell, I went to Ollie's Bargain Outlet and I started scanning everything and requesting approval. I was there for probably 3 hours and I found 2 products that Amazon would allow me to sell. The first one was in the craft section and it was some yarn, and the next one was in the office supplies and it was a notebook. So the first valuable lesson that I learned is I know you can make money on Amazon, but it's not going to happen very quickly and it will not happen overnight. Start in those categories where you are ungated and sell those few products. Prove to Amazon you're a good seller, and over time you'll see more categories and brands open up for you. So once I finally established the categories and some brands that I could sell, then I started selling products, and I ran into the second lesson that I learned, and that is you have to be so detail oriented when you are matching the listing that you're trying to jump on.
The problem is anyone can make a new Amazon listing, but not everyone is good at making an Amazon listing. So what you want to do when you're doing arbitrage and you're just jumping onto these listings that already exist is you want to check everything. So I can see right here, this says 20 floral ounces for this Cetaphil. And then we can also see right here that the title says 20 floral ounces. So everything looks good. But I have learned this lesson the hard way. And just because that title says 20 ounces does not always mean it's just for one pack. So here's what you have to do. Scroll all the way down here until you get to the product details. This is going to confirm for you how many units you need. And because this says the package dimensions is 1.25 pounds, then that confirms to me that yes, this is for just one unit because it's 20 ounces and there's 16 ounces to a pound. But if this said right here 2.5 pounds, then now there's a disconnect. The listing is showing that it's only for 20 ounces and the package dimensions aren't matching up to that. So I know that something's going wrong here, and whoever created this listing, there are discrepancies. So don't just trust what you see up there in the title. Always come down here to the product dimensions and make sure that it matches the volume for the actual product that the listing says it's for. And the next thing that I always do as well, if I'm not really sure if I'm getting the right product that matches, is I go down to the comments. If I start seeing right here in the customer questions and answers that customers are confused and they keep saying, how many is this for? Or there's another one that says, I ordered this and I got 2 one time and I ordered again and I only got 1. Then I know that that listing is not a good setup listing. If the customers are confused and we're not sure how many units it's for, just avoid that listing. Make sure the title and the picture and the product dimensions all match. Come down here to the questions and even go a little further to the reviews and make sure that there's no customer confusion.
Time for the third lesson. So things are looking good. I know that I have to gradually get into new categories and brands. I know I need to match the listings, but the third lesson that I ran into was Hazmat. I remember being excited because I found this perfume, I think it was at Target, and I went onto Amazon, found the listing, requested approval with Amazon, and they said I could sell it. So I figured I was good to go. I ordered those units, and then I found out about Hazmat. Anything that falls into the Hazmat category, you cannot just sell. You actually have to get on the waiting list through Seller Central and take an Amazon training on Hazmat materials, because these have things in it that could be be dangerous. They're flammable. It might be like aerosol hairspray, anything in a can like that, perfumes. A lot of products can fall into this hazmat category. So the best thing that you can do is get yourself some software that will alert you to what is hazmat and what's not. For example, I use this AMZ online arbitrage multi-tool, and when I downloaded this Chrome extension over a year ago, it was free, but I'm not sure if it still is. But the reason why I like it is because it pops up on every listing and it tells me quickly right here if the product is hazmat. And if I see that hazmat warning, that I know to get off of the listing because I can't sell that. I do not have the training. The fourth lesson that I learned was the first time I had an issue with my account and I was trying to upload some inventory and Amazon just would not let me do that. And the reason why they wouldn't is because I didn't understand all of the Amazon rules. So the fourth lesson that I can give you is to make sure to go into your Seller Central dashboard, go into the university, and get familiar with everything Amazon expects. The problem that I had was not being familiar with the weight and box dimensions that Amazon accepted. If you have mixed units in one box, that box cannot exceed 50 pounds. The only time your box can exceed 50 pounds is if the product itself exceeds 50 pounds. But what I did wrong is with the box length. You cannot have a box on any side that is longer than 25 inches unless the product itself is longer than 25 inches. And that was not the case for me. I just had a box that was really big and I could fill it with a ton of products, ton of different ASINs, but Amazon did not like that because I cannot do that. So get familiar with the rules or else you're going to be confused the next time you try to upload inventory and your account is blocked. Then you have to go into your Seller Central dashboard, figure out what you did wrong, and comply to it. What that typically means is filling out a little form for Amazon with you saying, I realize I did this wrong, and this is my plan of action to make sure it's not going to happen again. The fifth lesson that I learned, and I see a lot of you still talk about this and ask me about this, just because Amazon says you can sell something and they approve you, that does not mean that the brand themselves wants you to be selling their products. And just because Amazon ungated you, the brand can still hit you with an IP violation. How I learned this lesson was with the brand Piggy Paint. So I had found some on sale at Target and it was in the color clear. I jumped onto the Amazon listing, I requested approval from Amazon to sell, and they ungated me. I was approved. So I bought those units, I sent them in FBA, and very quickly I received an email from the brand telling me, remove these products, you do not have the rights from us to be selling them. But here's how you're going to be able to know if brands are going to allow you to sell their products or not. Come down to the product details and copy the ASIN. Then I take that ASIN and I plug it into the ProfitGuru Amazon Sales Estimator. When I do that, now I can see very quickly that there's only one seller on this listing. So that right there is a red flag. Then I come right down here and I'm going to look across time what's happening to the number of sellers. So I can see there's one seller. Then here, this is what's the indicator to me. A couple more sellers jump on and then boom, they are kicked right off. So if across time you're only seeing one or two sellers, maybe a few jump on, but then it goes right back down, that tells you that even though Amazon is saying you're ungated, the brands themselves don't want you selling their products and they will come at you with an IP violation. So always check the historical data when it comes to the number of sellers, then you'll know which brands are allowing sellers to sell their products. And it's important to note that this changes across listings. So for example, Physicians Formula, I have been on listings with their products and there was no issues. I did not receive any IP violations. Then I jumped onto a new listing of theirs, still the same brand, and that listing made me come off. So just because a brand is letting you sell on some listings, don't assume that all listings for that brand are safe. You always want to check the number of sellers just to be sure that across time, there's more than 3 sellers on average. Sixth lesson that I learned is there are a ton of inexperienced sellers on Amazon. And if you're not checking the historical data for the listings you're trying to jump on, and there's a ton of inexperienced sellers on those listings, they are going to price tank and you are not going to make any money. This happened to me so much in the beginning. I would look at a listing and the buy box would be going for $20, and I would get onto it not realizing that it was a kind of a spike in the buy box, and there would be several other sellers on that listing, and then all of a sudden that buy box each and every day gets lowered and lowered and lowered. Because all of these inexperienced sellers, they just assume that if you have the lowest price, then you're going to win the buy box. And that is not the case. So don't be one of those inexperienced sellers and go onto a listing and penny drop it, because nobody is going to win that way. And just because you have the lowest price does not guarantee that you are going to win the buy box. The seventh lesson that I learned is that connections are important, but they're kind of hard to find. You're probably not going to have your family and your friends understand what you're doing on Amazon, and they're probably not going to want to talk about it like you want to talk about it. So it is important to get out there and to find other people interested in this and what you're doing so that you can brainstorm together and work together. But what I found is a lot of these people are not actually your friends. And when it comes down to it, many of them are not happy with your success because they see it as a competition. And then other people don't actually want to form connections with you. They just want information and value from you. So it's going to be really hard to find those people who you can bring into your inner circle. But it is important that you do find them and that you are able to make connections with people who are doing this, and you can grow together. Just gonna drop a quick shout out right here to Asher and Franby. They were the first two who I brought into my circle. They brought me into their circle, and we still talk to this day. We make sure to stay in contact and stay in touch, and they're two people who are in the same industry as me. They provide a lot of value to me. I hope I also provide value to them. And they're two connections that I've just been really thankful to have in my back corner from the very start of my journey. And what's fun about it is all three of us kind of have different models and different angles and approaches to selling on Amazon. So it's really interesting when we all start talking and then we can see the different viewpoints and selling styles. You can really learn a lot from each other from making these connections. The eighth lesson that I learned was be careful when you are changing any information in your Seller Central details. I had opened up my LLC, I had opened up my business bank account, and I went into my Seller Central to take the debit card that I had linked and to put in my new debit card. And what Amazon did in response was completely lock my account. I could not log back in, I could not find how to contact them and handle this situation, and it was a big ordeal. So I would highly suggest being very picky when you're going into your Seller Central account and you're changing your personal info around, because this does catch Amazon as a red flag, and they might do to you what they did to me and completely lock you up. It was extremely frustrating and took me nearly an entire day to get my account unlocked. I really thought that that was going to be the end of me selling on Amazon, because when you try to log in and you get that error code saying that you're deactivated or you are locked out, it's actually pretty scary. So be careful when you're changing that info. And the ninth and most recent lesson that I have learned on my selling journey is some products that you sell are going to require you giving Amazon additional certification. This might be an SDS, which is a safety data sheet, or a CPC, Children's Product Certificate. So basically, if you are selling in the categories of beauty and you are trying to brand and bring something to the market that goes on people's face or they consume in some way, you are going to have to make sure that your manufacturer has the correct paperwork to go along with it, that they've sent those products out to be lab tested and you can prove to Amazon that they are safe. And if you're also selling in the baby category or you have toys for children that are younger than 12, the same thing applies. Make sure that your distributors or your manufacturers have the correct paperwork to prove that these products are safe for children. Because if you don't and you cannot provide that and you send those products to the FBA warehouse, Amazon is just going to dispose of them. And I learned that the hard way personally with at least 40 units that I sent in. My manufacturer did not have an SDS. They did not have their products sent out to a lab for testing, and therefore Amazon threw my products away. It was a sad day, but You learned the hard way, and now because that happened, it will never happen again to me. And hopefully, with me going through that experience and sharing it with you, it's not going to happen to you either. And there you have it. Those are the 9 biggest lessons that I have thus far had to learn selling on Amazon. I hope that you can take them in and avoid them. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next video.